Morning. I welcome you with all my heart. To our Sunday sharing. You know, "95% of the people on a spiritual path may think they're on a spiritual path, but it's undefined. They really don't know what they mean. Whether it's finding God, finding the absolute, practicing yoga and getting healthy, eating herbs and vegan to become healthy and pure, whatever. But in fact, 95% of people on a spiritual path are really in a process of growing up or healing psychic injuries. Practices like self-inquiry really don't help a lot of the kinds of problems people are dealing with here. Problems of relationship, alcoholism, addiction, depression, rage, fear. What helps there is various kinds of psychotherapy or medications. I know almost all of you have suffered for some time with sadness or depression, even though you may not name it sadness or depression, for thinking that if it's depression, what are you going to do about it? More meditation, more worship. The fastest way to unwind a depression is medication. And then when you have enough of a medication treatment and the depression subsides, you finally have enough energy to do real spiritual work. But spiritual methods really don't help in the process of growing up and growing out of illusions that we have about everything. Growing out of myths, conspiracies, drama, stories, irregular heartbeats, imagined illnesses, unimagined illnesses, stopping smoking. Willpower really isn't that effective in getting out of those messes. What's effective is to spend as much time as possible in psychotherapy, going to therapy groups, Gestalt groups, training groups, interpersonal groups, family therapy, and never feel at any time that you have all of your problems licked. through your whole life. It's dropping one illusion after another, one pain after another, one fear after another. The problems of letting go of a loved one, the problems of losing somebody, the problems of the fear of death and annihilation, problems of worry about money, housing, anything, aging. Every year presents a different set of problems. And the only spiritual practice is to really live through that year and deal with those problems that come up during that year. Whether it's the death of a parent, a cat, loss of your house, getting pneumonia, breaking a leg, or something else. Really, the only practice is surviving and growing from the experience. As long as you're held down by virtual demons, your spiritual practice is for naught. Self-inquiry can get you a lot, but the kind of enlightenment that comes from self-inquiry is pure emptiness in the absolute. And that's no solution to your personal problems, to the emotional problems, to the anxiety problems and the depression. Those will continue. And you have to deal with them in your everyday life, even if you've reached the absolute point of view, because they're still there, invading your psyche, your body. And even though you can find emptiness, or you can find the absolute, the witness, and be there restfully, the pain will pull you out. And you'll have to deal with it again. And you won't know how. Because your solution has been to run away into emptiness and the absolute. I know many of you are stuck in a place of despair. You say, how can I move? I can't move. I'm stuck. I felt that way for almost 15 years. After my first awakening experience in 95. I was stuck in emptiness and nothingness. It was very boring, lifeless, no energies. Periods of depression when a cat died. Periods of taking anti-depressants and feeling the depression go away and having energy again. Feeling utterly lost, like what to do with my life. Because doing spirituality didn't seem to be very beneficial. I didn't feel any better. I felt deader. The absolute is no place to be if you're a live human being. You're sort of a zombie, a living dead. You're alive, but you feel nothing. You're in emptiness, or sadness, or depression, or fear. You don't deal with fear by running to the absolute. You deal with fear by feeling the fear as much as possible, as often as possible. And it takes a long, long time. There's no quick way to deal with all of those things in us that need to be dealt with from childhood, from the problems that happen after childhood, depression, loss, all of these things. The best you can do is go to a psychologist or psychiatrist. Deal with the emotional problems as directly as possible. Do a lot of groups. Feel comfortable with feelings. I teach so many techniques of dealing with feelings. Call them eating feelings, where you let them get so close to you, they get absorbed in your heart and turned into energy. But that's only possible when you're fairly advanced. When you already have a high degree of concentration and focus, and you grab the feeling, talk to it, coax it, allow it into your heart. They are to be integrated and dissipated into energy. But that's an advanced technique. You need years of preparation before that. Most of you are dealing with problems of emotions, of bad thinking, of fear, of living in stories that aren't real about the external world that cause fear. Stories you tell yourself about how you're worthless. Stories that you're never going to advance anywhere or make anything of yourself. Stories that you're absolutely useless, or some such nonsense. My job with you, in lots of ways, is to just give you recognition. I try to talk to you in a supportive way, because I see strengths and powers and things in you that you don't see in yourself. And I tell you about them. It's empowering. Other times I criticize what I see in you, because I see you're destroying yourself with certain things. At other times, I try to take you into yourself by going into myself and describing what I find there. I take you into emptiness, or into energies, into bliss, or walk you through emotions like depression. But when all is said and done, probably the best thing you can do, even as both an emotional and a spiritual practice, is to sit by yourself and feel. Don't look, feel. When you look, you don't feel. When you observe with the mind or the eye, you don't feel. Looking competes with feeling for dominance. And in most of us, our mind, our observation, our watching is dominant. And it's so hard to feel. It's so hard to feel around in our heart's area for the spark of the life force, to look into our gut for energies, to do a scan of our bodies from the bottom of our feet to the top of our head, feeling each part of it until it tingles and you can feel energies, thereby mobilizing energies. This is my latest teachings. That's why in the last few years I've been an energy teacher, because it's so much easier and faster than going for the absolute, which is a dead end anyway. It's a dead end unless you first found God. If you found God first, if you found bliss first, if you found ecstasy first, and it grabs your whole body, and you have full body orgasms or full body ecstasies. Later, when emptiness comes and nothingness comes, it's a much softer feel than the rawness of emptiness and nothingness without first having tasted God. But what I want to put in your head is most of what you're doing now is not spiritual. You're working with your inner demons. And I don't mean that literally. By that I mean figuratively. You're working with the tropes and injuries of your past life, of being criticized by your father or mother, or ignored, leaving you feeling alone, worthless your entire life, or filling you with anger and a desire to destroy society, the deep state, or something else when you grow up, and you're dominated by it. Some people become terrorists. Other people become drug addicts. Others become insane. Others become homeless. And all the rest occupy the mundane world, the world of society, where it's society and education make all the rules and outline your whole life, going from one prison to another. School didn't feel like a prison to me until after the 6th grade. It was pretty exciting for me up till the 6th grade. Then I went to a rough school for intermediate school. And I saw it as a prison. It was just a container for us, so adults could go on living their lives without being bothered by us. And while we were inculcated with bullshit, high school was worse. College was even worse because it was more subtle then, because we were there of our own will. College was the worst waste of time I've ever experienced. I kept staying there because I didn't know what to do with my life. I was in a waiting pattern. 9 years of school, utter waste. But now enough of my demons have died off from old age that I feel relatively free, both of any emotional work and any spiritual work. I feel more and more relaxed inside my body. I thoroughly understand and experienced everything Robert taught. I thoroughly understand and have experienced everything Nisargadatta has taught. I fully understand the bliss states, samadhis, emptiness, nothingness, the dream state, waking state, deep sleep state, the nothingness state. I can feel those states around me, just waiting to replace the waking state. Through the gap, through the portal. Moving from one state to another. Actually, I don't move. The states move into me, cover me. And then I live it. But spirituality is about watching consciousness. And you don't watch consciousness with any goal in mind. Because when you have a goal, there's effort and measurement whether you're approaching that goal. But just to watch how sleep comes to you, how sleep leaves you, and the stages of sleep leaving. First, deep sleep leaves and you enter dream. Then dream leaves and you're in a new state called the gap, where you're awake. You're perceiving the external world and yourself, your body, but there are no thoughts. There's no intelligence there yet, no thinking there yet, no self-awareness there yet. Then a moment later, you're alive, fully alive. And you say, oh shit, what do I have to do today? You go back into this waking dream world filled with stories. Today I have to do this. I have to watch this diet. I have to drink less alcohol. I have 84 errands to do. Got to take my cat to the vet. And you feel heavy just thinking about all the effort you have to do that day. And then you're in the mundane world, totally. Until nighttime. Then you get to watch yourself go to sleep. Reverse process. You gradually lose consciousness of the external world. Things become a little darker. Thoughts are less active. Then all at once, all of it disappears. You're not even aware that you're not aware anymore. You've gone into nothingness. And you think nothing about it. And the next morning you wake up out of nothingness. And you think nothing about it. But this is the flow of consciousness. Waking state, sleep state, deep sleep state, dream state, waking, gap. And consciousness, or you, whatever you are, pass through these different states, or they pass through you. This is what spirituality is about. Watching the states of consciousness, as well as the content of consciousness. The content of consciousness goes from being aware of the emptiness that pervades all things. It's like an inner and outer space that contains all objects, that pervades all objects, so that all things inside and outside are like holograms. They're made up of the same emptiness with an appearance of an existence. And you could live in that emptiness for long periods of time. But this is an aspect of consciousness, waking consciousness. It's not a passage from one consciousness state to another, but it's an object within consciousness, waking consciousness. On the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, from emptiness is the fullness of God within experienced. First felt as energies, which you manipulate and play with, and they grow and grow until you're in constant bliss and ecstasies, ecstatic. The hairs on your arms stand up from the ecstasy. You can't move, you're so ecstatic. You just want to sit on the floor feeling the ecstasy. You don't want to go to bed. You don't sleep. Then you begin to feel all kinds of movements in your body, flows of energies, different colors energies, movements of energies between the different chakras. And you play with it, and it becomes very interesting to play with the chakras and the energies. And you're concentrating all the time on the energies and healing with energies and feeling with energies and feeling the world around you through the energies. Feeling love towards people, feeling devotion towards people and animals. It's a wonderful time. You become a lovey-dovey guru follower or beloved follower. Become like a little puppy around your guru or your beloved. And your body's always tingling with energies, ecstasies. Even the emptiness is filled with presence now, ecstatic presence. But after a while, you begin to notice that despite the ecstasies in you, you have muscle tension. Tension in your shoulders, your upper back, maybe your forearms, maybe your hands, definitely in your face, around your mouth, your eyes. And you figure, that can't be normal. So let's see what I can do about it. And as you investigate your body, the tensions in your body, you find out that they're frozen energies. And the more you can relax your body, the more energies you can feel. And it's just an easy process of remembering off and on during the day to just go inside, feel your body where it's tense, and relax it. There are tricks. You can take 3 deep breaths with very slow exhalations. and relax the muscles along your spine. Right in the middle of the spine, there's all those tight ligaments that hold the spine together. And on either side, there's very long muscles that go from the neck down to the waist, connecting the ribs and the spine together. Those are often hard to find tension in, and even harder to relax. Then the cross of the upper part of your back, between your two wings, so to speak, the lower part of the scapula, both the left and the right side. The rhomboids connect to the scapula and can be rather tight, as well as the area underneath it. So you feel the pressure of the muscle tension, and you relax into it by exhaling. I do that every morning. I lie in bed, feel all the muscles in my body that I can feel, and deliberately relax them. And it's a great, fun experience to wake up to just a moderate amount of tension in your body. And then one by one, freeing it by relaxing. And finally, when you go deep enough, the energies begin to disappear. The ecstasies disappear. But what you have instead is what Ramana realized when he was doing introspection during his near-death experience. He realized he was not the body. He was watching the body. Since he was watching it, it was separate from him. He was spirit, observing the body from the inside and experiencing the world on the outside. He no longer identified with the body. He identified with his spirit, with his sentience, his ability to feel, to do guided meditation. He was the one that woke up in the morning, went to sleep at night. He was the one that thought he had a body, but that was just a thought. He was not the body. He was sentience. He was something entirely non-material. He was sentience, the ability to feel, to think, to smell, to taste, to touch, to reason, to ask questions, to seek God, to introspect. Gradually, you free yourself from the body this way. And you live more and more in the spirit. Then, if it hasn't already happened to you, you notice that this spirit this sentience has a life of its own. first seen much earlier in your career as a sense of presence, an electric body inside of your own. Gradually, it takes on more and more divine status. It's intensified by the blisses that you feel, the ecstasies that rivet you in place with their intensity. But later on, after the intensity dies, there's just a sense of presence inside that's so alive. If you try to look into it, you can't. It's everywhere. It's in my stomach, in my chest, in my legs, in the space around me. It's the life force, God. It's life itself. It's life itself. And finally, you find out all your life you've been searching for this life within. What you are is life itself that comes out of emptiness every morning. Another word would be to say your consciousness that comes out of nothingness, which is another aspect of yourself. But the process in the later spirituality is just to relax, just to feel the muscle tension, the last bits holding you into your body. You feel complete. You feel at home. You feel at rest. No more dramatic battles for understanding, for completion, for ecstasies, for emptiness. You've experienced all of these things. You're done. All you have to do now is live and see what comes next. You're free. You're free of spirituality. You're free of psychotherapy. You're free of your body. Except the last few years where you just live your life free. That's what those last few words were. Freedom. 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 And at the end, all you want is freedom from your body. Something gentle, Ralph?